Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm LeetCoder. If you guys are new to my channel, I pretty much do LeetCode style questions and I explain things in the simplest way possible. Today we have a pretty great problem, guys. It's a very good one. So let's go ahead and read the prompt statement, right? So he says, "I merge two." The question is called merge two sorted lists, right? So he says merge two sorted linked lists and return it as a sorted list, right? And they said the list should be made by splicing together the nodes of the two lists, right? Pretty much what they're telling us, guys. We're going to be given two lists, right? So that's a list and that's another list, right? And our job is going to be to merge them together, guys. Be able to merge them so that, they're sorted as well, I'm saying. So they're already sorted, right? And when you merge them together, they should be sorted as well, right? So this is a very classic merging algorithm, guys. I'm saying that we're going to apply to this problem. Yeah, so it can be solved. This algorithm can solve so many different problems, guys. Talk about intervals, arrays, anything that involves merging, guys. I'm saying it's gonna be very similar in terms of that. So so right now we got 1, 2, 4, right? 1, 3, 4, and we see 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You see, this was sorted and this was sorted, and those are sorted as well, right? And I'm gonna show you guys the magic that they did to accomplish that. All right. So let's go ahead and do an example real quick. All right, we're gonna do a quick walkthrough, all right, and talk about how we're gonna go about solving that particular problem, right? So don't worry, sit back, and I got you guys. All right. So now, guys, so pretty much, those are the two lists, right? So 1, 2, 4, right? You see 1, 2, 4. This is the same thing as we have here. 1, 3, 4 is the same thing we have here, right? That's the second list, right? So L1 is the first list, right? And L2, second list, right? So L1 points to the head of the first list, and L2 points to the head of the second list, right? So now, the way we're gonna go about it, right? We're gonna create. So we know that for the output, right? So that's the output, right? 1, 1. I'm saying. So we know that we need to return a new list, right? So now the way we can go about solving this problem, right, is so initially we're gonna create this dummy head, right? That's gonna we just give it an arbitrary value, so we just give it -1, right? So dummy is gonna be at the head of the list, right? And then we're gonna have this curve variable, guys, that's gonna help us. So the curve is gonna take a reference to dummy, right? Dummy head, right? And then with cur, right, we're gonna be able to populate the new list as we go, right? Because we're gonna be making decision, guys, at every iteration to ask which one is the smallest one, right? So since we're going from left to right, right, we need to have the smallest numbers possible to solve to create the list, right? If we're going from right to left, but we can't really do this with a linked list, right? We did that in this other problem that we did in the merge two sorted arrays, right? The algorithm was different. We were going from right to left. We were choosing the biggest value because from the right side, right, for it to be sorted, the bigger values are going to be to the right and the smallest values are going to be to the left, right? So that's why this is changed, right? We go from left to right. So now we're going to pick the smallest value possible at every iteration, and we're going to keep populating the list until we call null, right? So let's go through the algorithm real quick, all right? I'm pretty sure you guys will get this. So yeah, guys, let's go ahead and solve it right now, right? So let's go through this example really quickly. So right now we see where L1's pointing at and where L2's pointing at, right? So now we're gonna make those decisions, right? So we see 1 and 1, they're both the same. We could choose either one, right? So since we can choose either one, we're gonna end up going with the first one, right? So now we're pointing to this one, right? So now so now dummy head, right? Dummy that next now is pointing to this one, right? Right? So now, since we just created a new one, right? So since we just accounted for the one that's in list 1, right? We move forward now. L1 is pointing at 2 now, and then we also move cur forward. Cur moves forward every iteration, guys. What I'm saying. All right. So now, since we just did that, right? So now we're here, right? So we move cur forward because we want to point to the last element that was inserted into the list, right? So that we can point somewhere else as well, right? Because we're gonna keep populating, guys. The list is not done yet. We're still populating it as we go. All right. So now we do the same thing, guys. We ask between L1, right, and L2, which one's the smallest one, right? The smallest one is 1, right? This one, actually, right? So we do 1, right? And then we move L2 forward, right? L1 stays where it's at, right? Because we didn't choose it, so it stays where it's at. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna have this. So now we just created. We added that one to the list, right? And then what we do, guys, we need to move cur forward as well, right? Cur moves forward, right? So cur is right there. So we keep asking ourselves every time, guys, decision. So now in the next iteration, right, we choose between 2 and 3. So 2's bigger, right? No, 2's smaller. I mean. So since 2's smaller now, we end up going with this node, and then we move L1 forward again, right? And then after we do that, guys, we need to also move cur forward, right? So yeah, bam, we choose that, and then we act between 3 and 4, right? Because L2 is pointing at 3, and L1 is pointing at 4, right? And now we choose, all right, L3 is smaller, so we put 3, and then we move forward again, right? All right, and then L2 gets to move forward because we just chose 3, right? And then now, since we're here, right, we see 4 and 4, they're both the same, guys. What I'm saying, so now we could choose either one. So we choose this one, right? Because we chose the first one. So I'm saying we were at 1 and 1, right? So we choose 4, right? So 4 is the small one. No, 4, yeah, it's not small, they're equal. So we could choose either one. So I chose to go 4, right? So now we have that, guys. I'm saying. So now, before we do that, right? After we do that, L1 is null, right? So we're null, guys. I'm saying. So we would exit out of the while loop. I'm saying. So that would be, now we're gonna be in some kind of problem, all right? So now, since we will exit out, right? We're gonna ask ourselves before we return anything to the caller, right? Which one of those iterators, right, was null, right? So if L1's null, right? So now L1's null, so we point to wherever L2 is pointing at, right? Vice versa. If L2 was null, was the one that's null, then we would be pointing wherever L1 is at, right? So now, since L1 is null, right, we're gonna be pointing to wherever L2 is pointing at, right? So we're gonna be, all right, cool. So I'm just so cool. So we got cool. And just copy that and paste it right there, right? Boom. That's where L2 was pointing at. So yeah, guys. So we just pointed wherever L2 was pointing at, right? So we just boom, and then we complete the list, right? So you guys can see, right? The list is now complete, right? So this is the list, right? This is the list that we're gonna return. So this is the output that they want, right? So now remember, I told you guys dummy head, right, was pointing at -1, right? So it was pointing to, so that's the header right now. So now we're gonna return dummy.next, guys, to return this list, because that's the list that we want, right? Because it matches exactly what we have here, right? So dummy head just served as a a dummy node just to hold reference to the head, right? So that we could return dummy.next, so we could return the actual list that we cared about, the list that we created. We don't want to return dummy because dummy, which would also include -1, right? So we do dummy.next to return that sub list that we have here, guys, because that's what the caller wants, right? So guys, this is very, very good. So yeah, let's go ahead into the code, all right? So yeah, guys, let's go ahead into the code right now. So right now, guys, we're gonna create the dummy head, right, that we talked about. So dummy head is gonna equal to a new list node, right? So we're just gonna be a new list node. It's gonna hold a reference to the head, right? So initially it's gonna be -1, right? So now that we have that, guys, the next thing that we're gonna do, we're also gonna have the reference node that we talked about, which was gonna be pointing to wherever dummy head's pointing at, right? And then with the cur, right, we're gonna be able to build the list that we want, right? So now we're gonna have this while loop, guys, that's gonna iterate through while the L1's not null and L2 is also not null, right? So well, they're both not null. We're gonna keep making those decisions every time, guys. What I'm saying. So now, what we're gonna do, right? We're going to ask ourselves, right? Every iteration, right? So now we check if, right? If, right? If L1 that val, right, is smaller or equal to L2 that val. If it's smaller, right? Since we're going from left to right, remember I told you guys, L1's smaller, right? So we do cure that next, right? Points to wherever L1's at, right? Because we chose the number from L1, right? And after that, guys, we just move forward, right? Remember the algorithm that we just did? Yeah. We move forward. And then after that, right, we also move cure forward as well, right? Cure, go to cure that next. All right, and after that, guys, if it's not smaller, right, that means L2 is smaller, right? So we just do the same thing. We point to L2, right? And then we move L2 forward, right? L2 that next, right? And then after that, guys, you know, we move cure forward as well, right? All right, so now we're pretty much in good shape. So that the next thing that I would worry about is to do the last check, right, that I told you guys about. Yeah, so the last step, right, we check which one's null, right? If L1 is null, right? If L1's null, guys, we're just gonna cure that next. It's gonna point to L2, right? So we do this last check to check which one of them went out of, you know, out of bounds. What I'm saying, where like, you know, was null, right? If the one that's null, right, we could just point our next pointer to point to the other element, right? Because it's gonna be a sorted format, right? The remainder of the list, I'm saying, because they're already sorted. Yeah. So L1, right? So yeah, guys. So right now the last thing that we do, we return dummy head, right? That next, like I talked to you guys about. All right. So let's go ahead and try to run the code and see if we pass the test cases. Oh yeah, I forgot that. All right, my bad. We passed that small test case. Let's see if we pass all the test cases, guys. Perfect, guys. We're able to pass all the test cases, guys. Now, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. If you guys found value in this video, make sure to give me a like. If you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe because I'll be doing a lot of other videos just like this one. I want to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.